Everybody, my name is Mallory Martin. I'm the Chief Deputy Director for the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. I want to thank you all for coming out. I want to thank Brandon and Spring Hill Outfitters for having us here and hosting this event. We're here today to officially recognize and celebrate the passage of the Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit Bill, Senate Bill 234, which was signed into law by Governor McCrory on June 4th. The Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit provides a pathway for increasing participation in hunting for all citizens across all of North Carolina. Fundamentally, the Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit extends to the whole family those privileges that have been available to youth for years, and that is to be able to hunt under the accompaniment of a licensed adult. Today we live in a fast-paced and mobile society. There are so many competing demands on our citizens and competing opportunities for activities and recreation that didn't exist just a few years ago. The Wildlife Resources Commission recognizes this fact, which is further evidenced by declining per capita rates of participation in hunting. The passage of the Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit is a step toward increasing participation and opportunity. But most importantly, if we are able to maintain the effective system of wildlife conservation and management, in which the hunter is a key and vital component, we need to do all we can to streamline those pathways of participation for hunters of all ages. And at this time, I'd like to call on Colonel Dale Cavaney, our Chief of Law Enforcement, to explain a little bit about the Hunting Heritage Permit itself. Colonel?
Good morning. The Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit makes it possible for you newcomers to try hunting if accompanied by a licensed adult hunter or a licensed exempt landowner before committing to a comprehensive hunter education course. While afield, the apprentice must be within sight and hearing distance of the mentor without the aid of an electronic device or enhancement. This is a traditional approach to introducing newcomers to hunting, and we expect the mentors to lead by positive example. While there is no charge for the apprentice permit, purchase is required for the appropriate hunting license. All other special privilege licenses, such as Big Game Harvest Report cards, HIP certifications, and federal migratory waterfowl stamps are still required. The apprentice permit is valid only for the term of the hunting license purchased under the authority of the permit. In evaluating the hunting apprentice permit program in their states, wildlife agencies in Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Kentucky have found that an apprentice license or permit helps individuals facilitate short-notice hunting trips and the sales of license. Here are some statistics from their evaluation. Between 27 and 58% of apprentices from the 5 states purchased a hunting license after participation in the program. Among those who did not purchase a state hunting license, between 38 and 57% said they were very likely to do so in the next 12 months. Between 62 and 78% of the apprentices said they were very likely to go hunting in the next 12 months. And between 79 and 87% of the apprentice license or permit holders said they would be very likely to recommend the apprentice program to a friend or family member interested in learning how to hunt. One of our primary concerns with hunting is safety. Mentored hunting is safe. Research by the National Shooting Sports Foundation shows that many apprentice hunters go on to take hunter education courses. Since 2004, there have been more than 1 million apprentice license or permits issued in 34 states. During that time, there has not been a significant rise in negligent-related hunting accidents or overall hunting-related injuries. We feel that having a positive hunting experience encourages new hunters to take a hunter education classroom course or sign up for an internet-based class. The apprentice has already witnessed good sportsmanship had an enjoyable experience and will be eager to learn more. The apprentice permit is the first step in recruiting safe, ethical, and lifelong hunters. At this time, I'd like to ask Brandon Scott of Spring Hill Outfitters to come up, presentation of the poster. So if we just step around here. poster will be part of a media campaign this fall to introduce the Hunter Heritage Program, Apprentice Program, and will be part of a larger overall campaign. We thank Spring Hill Outfitters for supporting this program.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Colonel Cadney and Brandon, for that. Wanted to mention that Executive Director Gordon Myers of the Wildlife Commission intended to be here today, but with the storms that came through last night, he had some damage at his house and was unable to be here. So he prepared a few remarks, and I'm going to deliver those on his behalf. And Director Myers would like to have these remarks as follows. There's a word that symbolizes our wildlife conservation in North Carolina, and that is partnership. Partners are from all walks of life. The customers in this store, conservation organizations across our state, local industries and local communities, and even the branches of government. And today, as we announce the North Carolina's Hunter Heritage Apprentice Program, it is fitting that we do so among our partners. In the past several years, the North Carolina Sportsman's Caucus of the legislature has become more and more energized as they have focused on a wide range of important issues that affect North Carolina's sportsmen and sportswomen. Each legislator in this caucus is an important part of North Carolina's wildlife conservation team. It is through their representation and advocacy that we now have legislation enacted that builds this pathway to bring more families afield. When the members of the Wildlife Resources Commission convened a summit last fall to think about strategies to ensure the future of North Carolina's hunting and fishing heritage, this idea was a top priority. Members of the Sportsman's Caucus were standing with us then, and they stand with us now. And I'd like to introduce at this time Senator Buck Newton, who was the primary sponsor of this bill that made this program possible, and ask him to give us a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be brief. As a politician in the room, I know people's eyes glaze over when we stand up here and grip the podium. But it's my pleasure to be here today. First, I want to thank the Wildlife Commission and folks that I've worked with to do this legislation, but I'd also like to thank a friend of mine named Dale Murphy from down at Rose Hill. I believe it was the host of that summit that you referred to. I wasn't able to be there because, unfortunately, it was campaign season, and I was running around Johnson County trying to get a few votes and right before the election. But Dale was the first one to mention this to me, and I'm sure it wasn't his idea originally, but I do kind of want to give him credit for planting the seed with me at least. And then of course I spoke with you guys and Gordon and others and Chris that are involved at the General Assembly. But the Sportsman's Caucus is dedicated to preserving and enhancing and growing our heritage outdoor sports, hunting and fishing and so forth. And you know, I'm a hunter, and my children have learned. Now they've gone through the hunter safety program now, but basically my children learned through this kind of a program. And I've had a number of parents, friends, dads who didn't grow up hunting, whose kids are interested because my kids are interested. And this is exactly the kind of program that allows me to take them when they haven't been through a certification program and with the permit, and see if they're interested in doing it. And so I think it's a wonderful program. I look forward to seeing how it enhances and grows the sport. As you said, there are a lot of competing interests out there, and when you look outside on a day like today and you see this beautiful weather, I wish I could go get in the woods and not have to go back to my office. So anyway, it's been my pleasure to work on this legislation, and a lot of other legislators helped me along the way. But once we explained the program, I really couldn't find anybody who didn't think it was a great idea. So I'm really looking forward to its full implementation and taking some of my friends who hadn't been hunting out to the woods. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator. And continuing on with that idea of partnership, you know, other key members of North Carolina's wildlife conservation team include our wildlife service agents, such as here at Spring Hill Outfitters. There are close to 900 service agents located in every corner of our state. This public-private partnership provides us with year-round customer service, customer-focused services available to hunters, fishermen, and other wildlife enthusiasts. They're also an important part of North Carolina's multi-billion-dollar hunting and fishing industry. And I want to give you just a few statistics about the economics of hunting and fishing in North Carolina. There are 1.2 million resident and 395,000 non-resident anglers that contribute $1.5 billion annually in direct spending in North Carolina. There are 260,000 resident and 77,000 non-resident hunters that contribute $525 million in direct spending each year. 2.4 million wildlife watchers add an additional $930 million in direct spending. And together, this represents a $3.3 billion industry of direct economic impact and tens of thousands of jobs in North Carolina. And as a point of this, each and every purchase of guns, ammunition, certain archery equipment, and a variety of fishing-related gear includes support for wildlife and fisheries conservation through a user-pay, everyone benefits type of conservation funding model. So at this time, I'd like to call Brandon Scott back and ask him to say a few words about our partnerships.
I would like to thank Chief Deputy Director Martin, Senator Buck Newton, Colonel Cavany, and all our distinguished guests for joining us here at Spring Hill Outfitters today for this exciting announcement. The Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit will certainly be instrumental in encouraging more citizens to enjoy Mother Nature and what Mother Nature has to offer here in North Carolina. By giving people the opportunity to participate in an activity that they have never experienced, will spur their interest even more, and it will lead those people to take those hunter education courses and become more informed sportsmen. In turn, it'll provide an avenue to educate even more people about the outdoors and what our Wildlife Resources Commission does here to ensure our sporting tradition survives. Again, I'd like to thank all of you that came here today to hear about this special announcement, and I challenge you to take a kid or a friend hunting this upcoming season. And again, please support your elected officials. We are making a difference here in North Carolina, and we are very proud of what we have to offer here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that concludes our formal announcement. If there are any questions from any of the media, we'll be glad to take those, or we can do those individually. Again, in closing, I want to thank you for coming out, taking the time, and particularly Senator Newton taking time out from his busy schedule, and to Brandon for hosting us here today. So, thank you. And I want to thank everybody for coming out today to help us with this announcement. My name is Mallory Martin. I'm the Chief Deputy Director for the Wildlife Resources Commission. Glad to be here today. I'd like to recognize Russell Rhodes from the New Sports Shop, who's hosting us here at this event. I also like to recognize Representative John Bell, and we also have Mayor of Kinston, B.J. Murphy, who is here today to help us celebrate this as well. We're here today to officially recognize and celebrate the passage of the Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit Bill, Senate Bill 234, which was signed into law by Governor McCrory on June 4th. The Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit provides a pathway for increasing participation for hunting for all citizens all across North Carolina. Fundamentally, this Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit extends to the whole family those privileges that have been available to our youth for years, and that is to be able to hunt with the accompaniment of a licensed adult. And today we live in a fast-paced and a mobile society. There are so many competing demands on our citizens and competing opportunities for activities and for recreation that didn't exist just a few years ago. The Wildlife Resources Commission recognizes this fact which is further evidenced by the decline in the per capita rates of hunting participation that we've seen in the last few years. The passage of the Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit is a step towards increasing that participation and that opportunity. But most importantly, if we are to continue to maintain the effective system of wildlife management and conservation in which the hunter is a vital and a key participant, we need to do all we can to streamline those pathways for participation for hunters of all ages. So I want to turn it over now to our Chief of Law Enforcement, Colonel Dale Cavaney, who will speak to some of the specifics of the Hunter Heritage Apprentice Permit.
Thank you. The Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit makes it possible for newcomers to try hunting if accompanied by a licensed hunter or a license-exempt landowner before committing to a comprehensive hunter education course. While afield, the apprentice must be within sight and hearing distance of the mentor without the aid of electronic devices or enhancement. This is a traditional approach to introducing newcomers to hunting, and we expect the mentors to lead by positive example. While there's no charge for the apprentice permit, purchase is required for the appropriate hunting license. All other privilege licenses, such as the Big Game Harvest Report Card, the HIP certification, and the Federal Migratory Waterfowl stamp, are still required. The apprentice permit is valid only for the term of the hunting license purchased under the authority of the permit. In evaluating the hunting apprentice permit program in their states, wildlife agencies in Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Kentucky have found that an apprentice license or permit helps individuals facilitate short-term hunting trips and the sale of license. Here are some statistics from their evaluation. Between 27 and 61% of the apprentices across the 5 states purchased the state hunting license after participation in the program. Among those who did not purchase a state hunting license, between 38 and 57% said they were very likely to do so in the next 12 months. Between 62 and 76% of the apprentices said they were very likely to go hunting in the next 12 months. And between 79 and 87% of the apprentice license or permit holders said that they would be very likely to recommend the apprentice program to a friend or a family member interested in learning how to hunt. One of our primary concerns with hunting is safety. Mentored hunting is safe. Research by the National Shooting Sports Foundation shows that many apprentice hunters go on to take hunter education courses. Since 2004, there have been more than 1 million apprentice hunting license or permits issued in 34 states. During that time, there has not been a significant rise in negligence-related hunting accidents or overall hunting-related injuries. We feel that having a positive hunting experience encourages new hunters to take a free hunter education classroom course or to sign up for an internet-based class. The apprentice has already witnessed good sportsmanship and had an enjoyable experience and will be eager to learn more. The apprentice permit is the first step in recruiting safe, ethical, and lifelong hunters. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Appreciate that. Originally, we had intended to have Gordon Myers, our executive director, be here to deliver some remarks, but when the storm came through last night, he actually had some damage at his house and was unable to actually get home last night. So, but he did prepare some remarks and asked me to deliver them on his behalf, which I will as follows. There's one word that symbolizes wildlife conservation in North Carolina, and that is partnership. Partners are from all walks of life, customers in this store, conservation organizations across our state, local industries and local communities, even the branches of government. And today we announced the North Carolina's Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit program. It is fitting that we do this among our partners. In the past several years, the North Carolina Sportsman's Caucus of the General Assembly has become more and more energized as they have focused on a wide range of important issues that affect North Carolina's sportsmen and sportswomen. Each legislator in this caucus is an important part of North Carolina's wildlife conservation team, and it's through their representation and advocacy that we now have legislation enacted that builds this pathway to bring more families afield. When the members of the Wildlife Resources Commission convened a summit last fall to think about strategies to ensure the future of hunting in North Carolina, this idea was a top priority. Members of the Sportsman Caucus were standing with us then, and they're standing with us now. And I'd like to introduce Representative John Bell, who was a co-sponsor of this legislation, and ask a few words from you.
Thank y'all. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say thank you to the Executive Director Gordon Myers and Legislative Liaison Chris Dillon for their assistance and with this legislation. The House Chairman for the Sportsman Caucus is Representative Tim Moffitt, who cannot be here today, but he's from the western part of the state, approached me about being part of this legislation and running it through the House side. Not only was it an honor to work with the Wildlife Commission to get this bill done, but it was exciting for me. I grew up in the outdoors. I grew up hunting with my dad, and this is an opportunity for others to get that experience. Not just folks from rural areas, but now we're able to offer folks from our metropolitan areas a chance to go into the woods to get a taste of what it's like. And with shows on TV that everybody's watching, like Duck Dynasty and everything else they have going, it gives people an opportunity to see what being in outdoors is, getting the thrill of the hunt, getting the experience, but also helps build family bonds and relationships. This is an outstanding bill. It faced no opposition in the House and no opposition in the Senate. And it's a bipartisan bill, and I was very glad to be a part of it. And thank you for doing this. I look forward to the economic impact and the interest that it's going to have here in our state. So thank y'all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, and appreciate you being here and working with us on this bill. I'd like to move now to talk about some of those economic benefits that derive from this activity. And part of that partnership notion includes businesses such as the new sports shop here, and Russell is one of our key partners. And other key members of North Carolina's wildlife conservation team includes the wildlife service agents. And there are close to 900 service agents located in every corner of our state. And this is a public and private partnership that provides year-round customer-focused services to hunters, fishermen, and other wildlife enthusiasts. They are an important part of North Carolina's multi-billion-dollar hunting and fishing industry. And I've got some statistics here I just want to go through real quickly. That hunting and fishing economic impact in North Carolina comprises the following: 1.2 million resident and 395,000 non-resident anglers that contribute $1.5 billion a year in direct spending. 260,000 resident and 77,000 non-resident hunters contribute $525 million each year in direct spending. 2.4 million wildlife watchers add an additional $930 million to the economy of North Carolina. So together, these represent a $3.3 billion direct economic impact and tens of thousands of jobs that are created in North Carolina each year. Each and every purchase of guns, ammunition, and certain archery equipment, as well as a variety of fishing-related gear, includes support for wildlife and fisheries conservation through a user-pay, everyone benefits conservation model. And at this point, I'd like to ask Russell if he would like to come up and say a few words as well.
Thank you. What we represent here is the barrier to entry. What this does is reduces a barrier for someone to go into the field and legally hunt in our area. We're very excited. 20-some years ago, when the hunter education requirement was made law in this state, we wanted to reduce that barrier, so our staff started teaching hunter safety classes here anytime a group of students could be gathered together. Now we have an opportunity to take an adult who would like to experience hunting, who did not have a family that did this when they were a child, and allow them to try, if you would, before they buy. So they can try to go hunting, try the hunting experience, and after they do that, then they can come and take a free hunter safety class and safely be in the field as an apprentice and then as an independent hunter. We think this is a great, a good balance of safety first and then lowering the boundary to entry. And isn't it great to have legislators that see the importance of that and come with a well-balanced bill that allows this to happen? And I want to thank you and the Wildlife Resource Commission for working together to bring that to our citizens here in North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell, and again, thank you for hosting us here today to make this announcement. At this time, I'd like to call Colonel Cavaney back up and present you with this poster that exemplifies the program and the rollout for this promotional campaign that we're going to start on. Dale? At that time, we can take a few pictures, and for any media, we can do question and answer and photo ops as well. So. Today we're here at Easy Bait and Tackle. I want to thank Mr. Gary Bevel, who's here with us, for hosting this event where we're going to make our announcement. And I'd also like to recognize Mr. Bill Broadway, who's with the City of Goldsboro, and Representative John Bell, who's with us to help celebrate this event as well. We're here today to officially recognize and celebrate the passage of the Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit Bill, Senate Bill 234, which was signed into law by Governor McCrory on June 4th. The Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit provides a pathway for increasing participation in hunting for citizens all across North Carolina. And fundamentally, this bill extends to the whole family those privileges that have been available to our youth for years, and that is to be able to hunt with the accompaniment of a licensed adult. We know that today we live in a fast-paced and a mobile society. There are so many competing demands on our citizens and competing opportunities for activities and for recreation that didn't exist just a few years ago. The Wildlife Resources Commission recognizes this fact, which is further evidenced by the declining per capita rate of participation in hunting. The passage of the Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit is a step toward increasing participation and opportunity. But most importantly, if we are to maintain the effective system of wildlife management and conservation in this state, in which the hunter is a key and a vital participant, we need to do all we can to streamline those pathways of participation for hunters of all ages. So I want to turn the mic over now to our Chief of Law Enforcement, Colonel Dale Cavaney, who will speak to some of the particulars of this bill. Dale?
Thank you. The Hunting Heritage Apprentice Permit makes it possible for newcomers to try hunting if accompanied by a licensed adult hunter or a licensed exempt landowner before committing to a comprehensive hunter education course. While afield, the apprentice must be within sight and hearing distance of the mentor without the aid of electronic devices or enhancement. This is a traditional approach to introducing newcomers to hunting, and we expect the mentors to lead by positive example. While there's no charge for the apprentice permit, purchase is required for the appropriate hunting license. All other special privilege licenses, such as the Big Game Harvest Report Card, HIP certification, and federal migratory waterfowl stamp, are still required. The apprentice permit is valid only for the term of the hunting license purchased under the authority of the permit. In evaluating the hunting apprentice permit program in their states, wildlife agencies in Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Kentucky have found that an apprentice license or permit helps individuals facilitate short-term hunting trips and the sales of license. Here are some statistics from their evaluation. Between 27 and 61% of apprentices across the 5 states purchased a state hunting license after participation in the program. Among those who did not purchase a state hunting license, between 38 and 57% said they were very likely to do so within the next 12 years. Between 62 and 76% of the apprentices said they were very likely to go hunting in the next 12 months. Between 79 and 87% of the apprentice license or permit holders said they would very likely recommend the apprentice program to a friend or family member who is interested in learning how to hunt. One of our primary concerns with hunting is safety. Mentored hunting is safe. Research by the National Shooting Sports Foundation shows that apprentice hunters go on to take hunter education courses. Since 2004, there have been more than 1 million apprentice hunting license or permits issued in 34 states. During that time, there has not been a significant rise in negligence, hunting-related accidents, or overall hunting-related injuries. We feel that having a positive hunting experience encourages new hunters to take a free hunter education classroom course or sign up for an internet-based class. The apprentice has already witnessed good sportsmanship and had an enjoyable experience and will be eager to learn more. The apprentice permit is the first step in recruiting safe, ethical, and lifelong hunters. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. Appreciate those comments. And again, I want to thank everyone for coming out today. We had hoped to have our Executive Director, Gordon Myers, be part of this event, but with the storm that came through last night, it did some damage to his house, and he wasn't able to be here. But he did prepare some remarks, and I'm going to present those remarks on his behalf. And it goes as follows. There's a word that symbolizes wildlife conservation in North Carolina, and that word is partnership. Partners are from all walks of life, the customers in this store, the conservation organizations across our state, local industries and local communities, even branches of government. Today we announce North Carolina's Hunting Heritage Apprentice Program, and it is fitting that we do so among our partners. In the past several years, the North Carolina Sportsman's Caucus of the General Assembly has become more and more energized as they have focused on a wide range of important issues that affect North Carolina's sportsmen and sportswomen. Each legislator in this caucus is an important part of North Carolina's wildlife conservation team. It is through their representation and advocacy that we now have legislation enacted that builds this pathway to bring more families afield. When the members of the Wildlife Resources Commission convened a summit last fall to think about strategies to ensure the future of North Carolina's hunting and fishing heritage, this idea was a top priority. Members of the Sportsman Caucus were standing with us then, and they stand with us now. And I'd like to introduce Representative John Bell, who was a sponsor of this legislation, and ask him to say a few words for us. Thank you.
Let's grab this. All right. Thank you all very much for being here. This bill was a great experience. First of all, it was a bipartisan effort on both the House and the Senate because they understood the importance of getting folks off the couch and into the woods. The bill passed with flying colors in both chambers. As a proud member of the Sports Caucus, Representative Tim Moffitt, who cannot be with us today, he's from the western part of the state of Nashville, approached me about being the lead sponsor on this bill. I graciously took the challenge, and we worked together to make this happen. You know, with the popularity of hunting shows on TV, such as Duck Dynasty and the other shows that go along with it, people not only just in rural areas but also metropolitan areas are getting involved, wanting to get in the outdoors, wanting to get the experience. This is a great way for them to do that. At dinner the other night, I was talking to my wife about it. My sister-in-law was sitting with us, and she said, does this mean I get to go hunting? And I said, absolutely. We can get you an apprenticeship permit, and you can come and go hunting with me, and you can get that experience as well. So I'm hoping that not only does it get our youth, as also other adults involved in the program, but also the economic impact to our area. As we're sitting here today at Easy Bait Tackle, Mr. Gary Bell has been a big supporter about getting folks off the couch and out into the wilderness, whether it be fishing, whether it be boating, doing whatever he can do to promote that. And here at Easy Bait Tackle, if he ain't got it, you don't need it. So it's a great stop, and we're hoping more people will walk through these doors and not only participate in the Hunter Apprenticeship Program, but share the love of the outdoors with the rest of us. Thank you for being here, and thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Appreciate that. Appreciate those words. You know, the other key members of North Carolina's wildlife conservation team includes wildlife service agents such as Easy Bait and Tackle, where we are today. There are close to 900 service agents located in every corner of our state. This public-private partnership provides year-round customer-focused services to hunters, fishermen, and other wildlife enthusiasts. They are also an important part of North Carolina's multi-billion-dollar hunting and fishing industry. And I've got a few statistics I just want to throw out real quick that exemplify the magnitude of this economic impact. 1.2 million resident and 395,000 non-resident anglers contribute $1.5 billion annually in direct spending. 260,000 resident and 77,000 non-resident hunters contribute $525 million annually in direct spending. 2.4 million wildlife watchers add an additional $930 million each year to the economy. Together, this represents a $3.3 billion economic impact and tens of thousands of jobs that are created all across North Carolina. And each and every purchase of guns, ammunition, certain archery equipment, and a variety of fishing-related gear includes support for wildlife and fisheries conservation through a user-pay, everyone-benefit type of conservation model. So we're very proud of those statistics and support the increase in that magnitude as well. I'd like to ask Mr. Bevel if he'd like to say a few words about being a wildlife service agent and operating his store here at Easy Bait and Tackle.
Thank you very much. I opened the store up with nothing intention except to have some fun and get more money than knew what to do with. So I opened the store and let it go from there. And then in Goldsboro, we do a lot of stuff for the kids fishing. The C2 to go fishing, we sponsor about 5 or 6 big events a year. We work with Goldsboro Parks and Recreation. They're having a canoe trip this week, I think, and we'll sponsor that, or next week. We're sponsoring that. Seymour Johnson, we'll have 150 kids out there on one afternoon during the Sunday afternoon during the year, and we feed them and dine them and wine them, and we even take the service boards fishing too and give them food. But this is quite an experience to run a little store like this. It's fun. Since I've been staying here, I've watched at least 15, 20 people go in the store with fishing buckets, or you get a basket or something to go fishing with, and it's quite a thrill. And it's nice to be a wildlife agent. We try to make the people want to go, and we try to explain it to them so they understand what they can do and what they can't. And I know last week or 2 weeks ago the system gave down and about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I stood here and everybody tried to buy a license. I don't know if they gave them ones accepted or not. I wrote a little permit they'd been in and tried to buy a license. We couldn't get it, and told them they'd go fishing. If they didn't want to say anything to them, come see me out and take care of them. And, we try our best, and it's fun being part of wildlife. Sometimes it gets frustrating, and most times it's really nice. It's fun. It's fun, and John, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody's taking the help for us just so we can fish and hunt. We thank you.
Thank you so much for those words. And at this time, we would like to present you with this poster that is going to be part of a promotional campaign that will help promote the Hunting Heritage Apprentice license. And this is a limited edition. We'll start the sales on this poster, on this permit, July the 1st, and we want you to have an advance copy of that to display in your store. So we'll do that. We'll take a few photos, and if there are any questions, we'll be glad to take those. I want to thank everyone for coming, and we appreciate you being here.